Mr. Chairman, Mr. Figueredo is now connecting in, so we are just about ready to go.
Okay, this is it today. Thank you. How you doing, Mr. Boner?
Joe, are you there?
Joe, can you hear us?
Joe, you got to take yourself, press *6 if you want to unmute yourself.
No, he's actually using his computer tonight.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't appear to have connected using audio because it doesn't have a mute icon on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that, Jeff. We might have to send an IT specialist to his house.
Give or take. I'll send him a text.
I'm one to talk, right?
Stop talking.
Well, it looks like he's trying to connect.
There, his
Joe, can you
icon's
hear
up.
us?
There
now?
he goes. All right. All right, his audio connected. He just needs to,
Any better?
there
Yeah,
you are.
excellent.
Okay, we are
All right.
good to go.
That being said, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. Before we begin, so I must read this. This is due to the increasing concern surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. This meeting/public hearing will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 at a later date. There is no live recording of this meeting. You have to log into the Zoom room in order to send in public input, and you'll also go under the planning board heading of agendas, and it should be able to bring you right into our public input section. I'd like to have everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America. And to the republic
for which
for
it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with
with liberty
and
and
justice.
justice
for all.
for all. Thank you. Members, I'm going to entertain a motion to confirm the next meeting date of November 4th of 2020.
I'll make that motion.
Motion
I'll
been made.
second.
Do I hear a second? Motion
Second.
is made by Mr. Cavallo, seconded by Mr. Boner. Any further discussion on the next meeting date of November 4th of 2020? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Ms. Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Boner, Mr. Figurito,
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo,
Aye.
Mr. Rhines, aye. Again, members, next meeting date is November 4th of 2020. Moving on to agenda item number 4A, we're going to review, discuss, and act on the proposed sidewalk revision construction of Cedar Estates residential subdivision. Before we can begin, we have a member who is a resident of Cedar Estates, and that gentleman will recuse himself. That is Mr. Jeffrey Cavallo.
Yes, sir. I am recusing myself from this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Cavallo. So, members, everyone's had an opportunity to look over the package, and the information was provided by MBL Land Development. Now, what the applicant is looking to do is they want to move a sign from the west side of Tommy's Way to the east side of the street and relocate the existing boulders to the sign. And to protect the sign with accessible ramp, please refer to the outlined areas on the plans entitled Area Number 1. So if we look through this, you're going to see sign locations been changed. They're going to come in and they're going to reconstruct and re-repair existing sidewalks from the intersection of Tommy's Way and Billy's Lane along the east side of Tommy's Way from the existing driveway located at 2050 Tommy's Way to the second tree from the intersection of Tommy's Way and Billy's Lane. Please refer to the area outlined in the plans entitled Area Number 2. Mr. Zisade has just put this up on everyone's computer. You should be able to see it. It's the highlighted areas that we're looking at for sidewalks. On number 3, it says repair and reconstruct the existing sidewalk on the east side of Tommy's Lane from the intersection of Cedar Street along the east side of Tommy's Lane, the approximately to the existing retaining walls, limits located in front of the existing yellow house / retaining wall with an address of 2250 Cedar Street. Please refer to the area outlined in the plans entitled Area Number 3. Number 4 states that repair, reconstruct the existing sidewalk along the west side of Billy's Lane from the existing concrete ramp and the utility pole number 30, excuse me, to the existing driveway located at 2230 Cedar Street. And please see the area outlined in the plans entitled Area Number 4. Now, now I know Attorney Zajac is on with us this evening. I just wanted members, I've had an opportunity to look at this and go over the scale. And I'm going to see approximately, I want to guesstimate, over 1,100 feet of sidewalks going to be repaired and replaced up there in the subdivision. So the plans will state as such, the areas and the locations. I'd like to have Mr. Williams, if you would, our engineer, weigh in on this. And if, Peter, if you have any comments, the floor is yours, sir.
No, we've met out there a couple of times looking over these changes. I think initially we had a couple of planning board members and then several times later. And this is basically what we have felt, what I felt would be needed to be, to correct the drainage issues on these sidewalks. I mean, there's not a lot of details, but it's basically they're raising the grades and modifying them as to promote drainage in these areas. It's part of the work that was outlined in my letter of April 8th of 2020. So I don't have any comments except for it appears to be what we've asked them, the areas to be addressed, and basically okay. I kind of agree with their proposed methods of raising and reshaping these sidewalks.
Okay.
And that includes some of the curbs also. They'll be addressing both the curbs and the sidewalks as needed in these areas.
Okay, I was going to ask you that, Peter, about the curb stops and all that too. So, okay, that's going to be addressed. Members, do you have any questions? Mr. Zajac, I know you're on with us this evening. I'm going to open the floor to you, sir, if you want to have some information for the members.
I think that pretty much does address it. This is what we submitted in an attempt to comply with what Mr. Williams asked us to do, and I think the plan And Brian Dunn's letter says what we intend to do, and that was our goal. So I hope that you agree that the plans and proposal is exactly what the town was, planning board was requesting in this regard.
Thank you, Mr. Zajac. That's absolutely correct. I went ahead myself and a few of the other planning board members. I believe it was Mr. Figueredo, myself, Mr. Williams, Mr. Zajac, their engineer, and we all had done a walkthrough. And these were not, these were more than included items on the punch list that needed to be done. So I like how the plans look themselves. I think the upgrades are going to be sufficient for that neighborhood and for the subdivision. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Williams or Mr. Zajac?
No, I'm good at this point. Thank you.
Mr. Woods?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Boner, any questions? Bob, you got to hit *6 on your phone if you're using your phone, or the icon on your computer. You with us, Mr. Boner?
Could we take the map down? I'd like to see everybody.
Sure.
Yeah, if we could, Mrs. Easterday, please.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Bob,
Stuff.
you got to hit *6 on your phone, or there's a, oh, there you go. You're off now. Bob, any questions of the applicant? We're still not hearing you. I don't know why.
Just shake your head, yes or no.
All right, you're all set, Bob? All right. So with that being said, members, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Mr. Rhines, I do have
Yes.
one item to read in for public record on the matter.
Okay, sure.
It was emailed to me this afternoon at 4:15 from a Paul Kelly of 2050 Billy's Lane. He addresses it to the Dayton Planning Board. I am writing to you before tonight's meeting because I was never given any details on exactly what is being changed in front of my home. I care especially because my family's house has been heavily affected by the previously approved plans in 2018 to relocate the sidewalks to my side of the street. Now with these proposed revised plans, I just want to make sure that my irrigation and trees, etc., won't be affected by new digging or placement. I have one dead cherry blossom tree due to root damage caused by the sidewalk construction last year, and another one that has essentially been on life support for the last year, but it looks like it may make it as long as there is no further disruption. The only cherry blossom tree in my yard not affected was the one on the southernmost area of my yard, in which the roots sit lower into the ground because of the slope. Therefore, they were not dug up during construction. None of my pear trees were affected, thankfully, due to the resiliency in nature, but that could change as well with any disruption. Also, my irrigation has been moved once already. Due to my home being on a corner lot, this equated to approximately 300 feet of lines that had to be moved, essentially a football field's length. At a planning board meeting back in 2018, the sidewalk relocation was deemed a minor modification. Therefore, there was no requirement for the homeowners to be notified of the changes. To myself, my neighbors, and those of us affected, however, this was a major modification. Some of these issues were resolved, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize our neighborhood getting adopted in the most expedient manner possible, but I also want to be assured of no further damage to my home frontage and would request total transparency to myself and the rest of those affected on all plans going forward, minor or major, before any decisions are made. Respectfully, Paul Kelly.
That's the area on number 2.
I can show you if you give me 1 second. So
Yes.
it's, yes, area 2. So it's this one right here.
Okay, okay. I think Joe Touch said at the time that he would be willing to take care of that if any of it was damaged, if I remember correctly. Maybe some of you can actually recap on that.
Yeah, that is correct. Mr. Chairman, Brian Dunn with MBL Land Development and Permitting. I am on the phone. I'm just in my truck. Yeah, the area number 2 at that corner, we're not going to be touching his driveway, which is a stamped concrete driveway. And that area of the sidewalk really does need to be raised in that area. And I know if there are any issues with the irrigation system or his trees, I know that Mr. Touch has already conveyed to Paul that he would take care of that if there were any issues with it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
You're welcome.
That's my understanding as well. And again, as you can see on the plan, it does lead up to the driveway, but it should not affect the driveway.
Correct. I see that now on the plans. Do we have any other public input, Mrs. East, today?
Let me just double check my emails. Nope, that is it.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman, if I
Chairman.
could ask a question as a resident?
Mr. Cavallo, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Yeah, this question is for MBL. Item number 1, where you said you're moving that sign from the west side to the east side and relocating existing boulders. It looks like this has already been done. Is that true?
If it's been done, it's without my knowledge. John, are you aware of any of this work being done already?
I am not aware that was done. It is possible that it was, but it's also news to me.
Yeah, that sign's been moved. It's been moved for weeks. And those boulders, I don't remember seeing them there. I don't know. Ken's on the phone here. So you ever been out? I don't know which way you go out, Ken, if you go out via Billy's or Tommy's, but this is in the corner of Tommy's and Cedar. I mean, I'm fine with it, but this letter makes it seem like you're looking to see if the work is okay, but it looks like number 1's already been done.
So you think the boulders have also been moved, or the boulders haven't been moved, but the sign has?
I think those boulders were there, but the sign has definitely switched sides. It used to be on the west side, west intersection. Now it's on the east intersection.
Okay, if it was, we apologize that we had no knowledge of that being done, Mr. Cavallo.
That's fine. Just curious.
Yeah, we normally ask for approvals first before we start doing things. So
Right.
I think if it was probably to be protecting that existing ramp that's there, because people are actually driving over it. So
It does that very well because it blocks it. You'd have to take the sign out to run over that curb now. So.
there, well, that's the reason for the moving the post. There you go.
That was
It's
the
effective.
intent.
So I guess it's effective.
It is effective. So far, we still have a street sign, so I can tell you nobody's run that over since.
Great.
Do we have any residents in the meeting this evening who'd like to speak? Gentlemen, hearing none, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the proposed sidewalk revision / reconstruction of Cedar Estates residential subdivision.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Motion
second
been made
that.
by Mr. Figueredo and seconded by Mr. Woods. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. By roll, Mr. Figueredo,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Boner, Mr. Rhines, aye. It's a 4-0 vote. We had one member who recused themselves. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Dunn, thank you. Mr. Zajac, thank you very much. I look forward to, of course, seeing you up there on the project grounds sometime in the future. I'm sure I'll see you up there, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Really appreciate you working with us on this. Thank you again.
We do. Thank you.
Mr.
Have a
Dunn,
good
thank
night,
you very
all.
much.
Yes, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Everyone stay safe. Have a great evening.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have another meeting this night, so I'm going to be leaving this meeting if that's okay with the board.
Mrs. Easterday, do we need Mr. Williams any further, going further?
I think we did have a slight question for the next issue, but because it was last minute, we'll have to hold off on that. So, Peter, I'll touch base with you on that later.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Williams. Stay safe. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Good evening.
Good night now.
Good night.
Members, I'm going to move on to item agenda 4B. And this is the review, discuss, and act on the special permit extension request of Forefront Power LLC, 0 William Street, map 11, lots 8-01 and 9. Now, everyone received their packet. What the petition is looking for is an extension on these special permits. Before we begin, I'd like to just, at this time, I'd like to recognize that they've had a change of ownership there and that the new owners are Cleanway Energy Group LLC, Clearway in parentheses. So welcome to you this evening. And members, do you have any questions? I know everyone's received the package before we decide to make a vote on their extension. I'll give everybody an opportunity to re-peruse through that again. This should be a pretty clear-cut extension. This is these days, the petitioner looking for 6 months, or they're looking for 1 year?
In the last paragraph in conclusion, they are looking for a 1 year.
Okay, that's what I
And
thought.
with, a requirement to establish work no later than April 30th of 2020.
Okay.
That may be 2021.
21.
Yeah.
2021.
Thank you.
So
I don't
gentlemen,
have
at this
a, I do
time,
not.
So
I
is
do
it 1
not
year
have
from
a
April
problem.
2021, or is it 1 year from 2020 to 2021?
To 2021.
Okay, so start date was 2020, April 23rd, 2020.
18.
I'll make a motion to grant the extension for 2021, 1 year from the expiration date.
motion's been made, do I hear a second to extend the special permit extension request of Forefront Power LLC, 0 William Street, map 11, lot 8-01 and number 9. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Mr. Figueredo and seconded by Mr. Cavallo. Do I hear any discussion on the extension request? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Boner. Mr. Boner.
He says yes. He's shaking his head.
Okay,
yes.
I thought you did. I thought I saw that.
Gonna
The
count
what?
signs.
Mr.
Aye.
Cavallo?
Aye.
Mr. Rhines? Aye. That motion carries 5-0. I see that we have a couple of individuals on with us this evening, and I'd just like to ask if Mrs. Sherwood, who are you working for, and if you'd just identify yourself very quickly here, please, for the record.
Yeah. Hi, Jennifer Sherwood, Clearway Energy Permitting Manager.
Jennifer.
Mr. Sloss?
Yeah, this is Scott Matthews. I am the construction project manager for this project,
Okay.
Clearway Energy.
Miss Juliet?
Yeah, hi, good evening. Juliet Taplinger with TRC.
And of course, Mr. Von Alman.
Hey, good evening, Chair. Development Project Manager for Clearway Energy.
Okay, great. So as you hear that we have extended your permits. Now, I believe, just bear with me for a second. Now, I just would like to make this this brief announcement is that the planning board cannot act on any plans that are presented to us within less than 48 hours of a scheduled meeting due to the state law. So our members have not had an opportunity to look and peruse over your plans. So what I would like to do, Mrs. Easterday, is I would like to put this matter on our agenda for November 4th or November 8th.
November 4th.
November 4th. Petitioners, is November 4th work for you?
If I can just ask for a point of clarification on process here. So the short answer is yes, we would be happy to attend the 4th meeting to discuss.
Okay.
So the plans that were presented are reflective of what we would consider, minor field changes that are going to be in our building permit application that's about to be submitted. And so we wanted to present those to you as a courtesy and act of transparency, since that is going to be in that package that goes to the town. It is consistent with the plans that were approved, and the minor changes are really to improve safety and reduce disturbance of the site. So we weren't sure whether the proper protocol was to simply seek approval of those field changes through the through the building permit approval, or whether the planning board would like an opportunity to review them. So if the planning board would like an opportunity to review them, we'd be happy to come before you on the 4th. If you would rather defer that to your colleagues in the building department.
Yes. Mr. Von Allen, I'm sorry about that. Yes, we would like to have the board look at those, and our engineer has not had the opportunity to review these plans either, so.
Okay, totally understood. Just wanted to clarify the process for our own education. So thanks for that,
Sure.
and we'd be happy to come on the 4th.
Absolutely. So members, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to schedule, excuse me just for a second, Clearway Energy Group LLC, Clearway, for our November 4th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
The
second.
motion has been made. Is by Mr. Figueredo, seconded by Mr. Cavallo. Any further discussion, gentlemen, on the addition of them on our agenda for November 4th? Hearing none, let's vote. By roll, Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Bonner? Mr. Woods?
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo?
Aye.
Mr. Rhines? Aye. Thank you. So Clearway, just be advised that our meetings begin at 6 p.m. They'll be via Zoom again. Our office manager will send you all the pertinent information in regards to Zoom login, what number to call, that type of thing.
Mhm.
So please reach out to Mrs. Easterday, and she will provide you with all the information.
And just one clarification, thank you for making those motions. Is the hearing on the 4th, what is the official action that we would be applying for?
First, they got to determine, it'll be determined whether it can be done as a modification to the site plans, or if it can be done under the building permit. So we got to clarify that. If
Okay,
it can be, and I'm going to clarify that with our engineer and the building department. So once I talk to them, I'll get the official agenda item, and I'll let
Okay.
you know.
that would be wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Easterday.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Sherwood, any other questions of Mrs. Easterday?
No, thank you. This is great.
Miss Juliet, any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Mr. Von Allen, you're welcome, Mr. Von Allen.
Nothing for me. Thank you all.
That's Mr. Matthews, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm good on my side, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us this evening.
You're very welcome. Thank you for attending our meeting this evening. And again, reach out to our office manager, Mrs. Easterday, and she will take care of everything that you need. We appreciate it. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks. So.
Good night. Be safe. All right, members, it's just us now. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 7th of 2020.
So move.
Motion been made by Mr. Figueredo, seconded by Mr. Boner. Any further discussion on the approval of the meeting minutes? I see Mr. Cavallo. Hearing none, let's vote. By roll, Mr. Boner. Mr. Boner says aye. Mr. Figueredo.
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo.
Aye.
Mr. Rhines, aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Mrs. Easterday, do we have any correspondence this month?
That's a no.
Oh, we do not.
Thank you. Do we have any public input at this time?
Double check one more time. No further public input.
All right, gentlemen, just a reminder, the next meeting is November 4th, 2020. It'll be by the Zoom format. Mrs. Easterday will send out the packets to all the members and prior to our meeting. So at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made by Mr. Figueroa, seconded by Mr. Cavallo. Any further discussion on the motion to adjourn? Hearing none, let's vote. Mr. Boner. I see Mr. Boner, aye. Mr. Figueredo. Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Cavallo. Mr. Cavallo says aye.
Aye.
We'll have to keep that in mind, Bob, for next month. So, and of course, Mr. Rhines does say aye. So, members, thank you very much for your attendance. Mrs. Easterday, thank you as always. Mr. Woods, nice screenshot. Cable TV, thank you as always. Again, our meetings are taped and they will be shown at a later date to the general public. Again, thank you very much and good evening.
Have a good night,
Good evening.
guys.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Thank you. Have a good night.